right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Get to Know Your Therapist. Right?
Hi.
Today we have an amazing person, an amazing therapist, Zohreh Sojoudi. I'm so excited to have you here today, not just because Zohreh is one of our amazing therapists, but also because Zohreh is a personal friend of mine. So, Zohreh, welcome. How are you?
Thank you, Justin. I'm doing all right. And now that I am seeing you, I feel much better.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. So, for those of you who don't know, Zora and I, we go way back, way back. So even though you're part of Building Bridges Psychotherapy, we've known each other even before Building Bridges existed. So, do you remember the first time that we met?
Yeah, it was very interesting. The first time that we met, it was on the interview day for the program of couple and family therapy at the University of Guelph. So um, when we were waiting at the waiting room to get interviewed, and we were like worried and anxious, and I remember how you were so supportive there as well. And when I wanted to go into the room and being interviewed, you were like, don't worry, you will be great. And I got a very positive vibe from you. And so in the first day of the university, when we were at that event, after we both got in, I was just looking for you because I was sure that you were getting. Yeah, I could see in your face that you could be a very good therapist. So yeah, and we
Oh,
met,
that's so sweet.
and then we also became the first co-therapists at the program. So yeah, our friendship
It's
is
quite
so
the
deep.
adventure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been long running. I feel very grateful that we're a group of 8 students that went through the CFT program,
Mm-hmm.
and we're all very close with one another.
Yeah.
But I have a special connection with you because you were the first person that I met, and it was actually because of you that we have Building Bridges
Oh my
Psychotherapy.
God,
Uh, Did I
Justin.
ever tell you that? Did
Tell me more about it. I remember, but I would like you to know to tell me about it again.
I have you to thank for this practice. To be honest, it was you who came up to me and said, "Hey, Justin, I see that you're doing a lot of work with clients, and this was I hadn't even worked for a year, and you're like, I'd love to join you. I know you said you always wanted to start your own practice once you finish, so I was like." I'm working by myself, but okay, I guess I'm gonna start a group practice now because my great friend Zori wants to join. So it was because of you. I was like, all right, I gotta come up with a name, gotta come up with a website, gotta come up with a logo, system, and everything. And I trained you and Deborah for the first time, and then Sarah, and it was just so thank you for all of this. Even though I'm not
Thank
in the
you for
building or anything.
having that dream since almost at the beginning of the program. I can remember that you were talking about, yes, I want to have a good group practice. And yeah,
Yeah.
so when we ended the program and I saw you were so successful, no surprise though, I was like, yes, this is the time for your dream to come true. And I'm very glad that I was the first person to join you.
I'm very glad too, and thank you for your nice words. And the only reason I had that dream of starting that group practice was because I had you and the others that I was so close to, and I was like, okay, the program's gonna end eventually, and I'm not gonna see these people every day anymore, and that makes me sad. I have my own attachment stuff, so I said, what can I do to kind of keep us together? Well, if I start a practice, maybe if I build it, then they'll come, and so. But you
Yeah,
came, and then I
thank
built it,
you.
so thank you. Thank you. So, but enough about I guess me and the practice. I know you personally more than maybe any other therapist besides the therapist I see for myself, uh, because I've worked so much with you. So I know what an amazing therapist you are firsthand. Yeah, our other amazing therapists in the practice, I've never seen them do therapy, but I have a lot of other, reasons to believe that they're great therapists. But at least for you, I have extra knowledge because I've worked with you with dozens and dozens of clients. So, but the point I'm trying to make is a lot of other people do not necessarily know what amazing therapist you are. So I want to highlight what an amazing therapist you are today, which is why I want to start with your origin story.
Mm-hmm.
So what made you decide to become a therapist in the first place?
Yeah, okay. So when I was in Iran, we had to write an entrance exam in order to enter the university. And when I wrote that exam, I was like, okay, I wasn't sure like which program I wanted to choose, but based on my result of the exam and also like what I liked, I chose psychology, but I wasn't sure that if I want to be a therapist yet. But then when I got in, and after the second year at university in my bachelor, I saw, so we had a class called diagnosis and also like therapy class. So in those classes, our professor was showing us the way that he was doing therapy. So like the tape of his therapy sessions.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I remember how I was touched with the results of those sessions. Like when I saw that the clients are getting better, it was touching. And then my professor said something that made me even more assured that I want to be a therapist. I remember that once one of our classmates asked the professor, "Have you ever laughed in a session? Like something funny might happen that you laughed?" And he said, "No, but I had tears of happiness when a client feel better." And that was then I decided I want that feeling, and I want to be the person to help people to grow and find themselves and feel that inner happiness to the extent that I cannot hold my tears. So
Wow.
yeah, so that was then I decided to become a therapist, and I had a very long journey to get there because then I moved to Canada and I had to do another bachelor degree in cognitive science, and then I got into my master program, but now here I am, got to my dream, and I'm very happy that I can help people find themselves.
I think a lot of people are lucky that you went through this long journey of like 10 years of university
Yeah.
to do what you're doing. Yeah, it's so as a therapist now, and I know the answer to this question, I can imagine, but have you ever cried in session? Tears of being so
Yes.
moved by your clients?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did so many times.
So many times. Yeah. A lot of people think us therapists were like stones. We don't, react, or we're not affected by things. But, I've witnessed you and myself. We've been so moved by our
Yeah.
clients before.
Mhm.
Yeah. So that's amazing. Have you ever got back in contact with that professor?
Yes.
That kind of was that spark?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
I talked to him recently and I told him about all of this, and he is also very happy and very encouraging about what I'm doing right now. And yeah, he's an aspiration for me. I always look up to him.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Okay, I'll have him to thank one day. So, right now you do therapy, and you do a lot of therapy. You work like you're the traveling therapist in your city, where you're just going from practice to practice to practice, helping, millions of people, I'm sure. Changing lives everywhere you go. So I think you're the best person to ask this question. According to you, how does therapy work?
So, because I have worked with so many different people, I believe that every person is unique, and I think the therapy process is for us as therapists to help clients together, like collaboratively, find themselves, find their inner voice, find who they are, and see their wounds, their emotional wounds, pain, and what they have gone through, and all that stuff. And then slowly, when they open up and see what is going on inside them, find a peace within themselves and find their inner voice. And that's where we feel much better, happier, and we can also find ways to, if we are stuck in a situation, if we don't know what to do and all that stuff, when we find that inner voice, then we can move on and find our way. So this is how I think therapy works. And as a therapist, I see myself as a person who needs to provide a very safe space, holding environment, someone that is very empathetic and no judgment at all. These are the things that are very important for me in therapy room. And yeah, with providing that environment, then the client is actually the main person who finds their inner voice, their inner self. And when I think about therapy, I always remember the Michelangelo. In each stone, there is a statue in there, and I believe that there is, like, in all of us, there is such statue, and we together, like as therapists and client together, we help the client to kind of find that statue, find that inner voice within themselves.
I love that. I never heard that before. Within each stone, there's a statue. It's not me that finds the voice for the client. It's the client that kind of finds it. I kind of help them find it. So it's like they're the sculptor and the stone, and you're teaching them how to break it open. Oh, wow. That's so cool.
Thank you.
That's so cool. Oh, thank you for sharing. I love listening to these ideas, and it's so awesome. So that's how therapy works. Now, the next question I have for you, and I love this, and I have an idea about what you might say, is what is your therapist's... I know you very well. Oh man, I've seen this in action. It's kind of like, imagine superheroes, and then you see your friend just start to glow and then start to levitate, and then they like shoot lasers out of their eyes, and you're like, wow, that's my friend. So anyways, that's what I'm thinking right now. So my question is, what is your therapist's superpower?
Yes, and you know what that is? It's my intuition. Yeah, and it's
All right, so tell me more.
So I have always had intuition, and I knew that I had it, but I just didn't know how powerful it could be until I got to CFD program. And one day in one of my supervision session with Kevin, we came up with this, that how important it could be for me to use it in sessions. So yeah, and I remember that one of our colleagues, Catherine, was there. She was my co-therapist at that time, and she was like, everyone knows that Zohreh's intuition is very well. And Kevin was like, yeah, that's right. I was like, yeah, everyone tells me, so how can I, how does that important? And then he was like, yeah, let's just use that intuition first, and then let's use the models following by your intuition. So what it can help me in the session is that it helps me to connect with clients very deeply and understand what is going on for them the most and what is more important for them, what are their emotions and all that stuff. So it's like magic for me when I'm using my intuition in sessions. Yeah, it's like magic that I'm like, okay, that's where. And usually clients give me good feedbacks that, yeah, like, how did you get that? Like, this is very important for us. And yeah, I'm very glad that I have this power, thank God.
Yeah, it's true, and I can, attest to it 100%. There's so many times where we were in session together working with a couple, and we did like a long session, like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and we would take a break in the middle, and then we'd like run to the therapist room, or like the, what was it called again, where we like the lounge or whatever.
Therapeutic break, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we took a therapeutic break, and then you and I would consult together, and then, we're both like wiping off the sweat from our foreheads because it's such a stressful session, and because the AC wasn't working and there's no ventilation, and then we look at each other and we're like, what are we gonna do? And I'm thinking, man, I don't know where to go from here. I feel stuck, I'm struggling. And then you're like, you know what, Justin? Sorry, I'm not going to imitate you. You would say something like, I think, the wife is actually feeling unheard, or maybe I think she struggled from like childhood abuse or something, or, you'd come up with some unique theory about what's going on. And I'm like, I don't think so. I don't see that at all. And you're like, just trust me. And I'm like, okay. So then we go back into the therapy room, and then you have your clipboard, and by the way, on your clipboard there's written intuition on it. Your clipboard, I'll never forget, always had the words intuition. And then you'd bring up your idea, and you'd say, hey, like, I think, what about this? Or maybe you wouldn't even suggest it. You would just we would just say, okay, so how's the therapeutic break? What are you guys thinking? And then the wife would say, you know what? Actually, I wanted to share something. And then out of her own free will, she would share the exact thing that your intuition just knew. And then I look at you with a smile, and I'm like, how did you know? And you're like, so I think it deserves a clap.
Thank you.
I think it was pretty cool. I got to witness a lot of magic happen, a lot of things. And also with regards to this superpower, your intuition was not limited to clients. There was a lot of times when
I used that for
I'd show up in class. And then you show up to a class of like 8 students and a professor, and then it's like, oh, hey, how's it going? And everyone's just like, oh, I'm good, and I'd say, oh, I'm good. And then you'd look to me, because I would sit next to you often, and then you'd say, Justin, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Like, no,
you're not okay.
You could tell that I wasn't okay.
Yeah.
And then you'd look at me, and then those eyes would just pierce, and then I was like, oh, I can't lie to you, I'm not feeling okay. And then we'd have those long talks and stuff, and it was amazing. So I truly feel any client, good old days, any client is lucky to work with you. Yeah. And I'm lucky to have you as a friend, so thank you. If clients are still feeling like they're on the fence about coming to therapy, what do you want them to know?
First of all, I want to tell them that it is completely understandable to be on the fence, or like to be anxious about going to therapy, or be worried that what is going to happen, can I trust this person, is it safe to open up, and all that stuff. It's completely okay, it's completely understandable and fair. Even as a therapist, when I wanted to start my own therapy journey, I remember that I was a little bit anxious. But what I want to say is that let's hear that anxiousness message. That what does it tell us? maybe just tell us to find a good therapist that can be a safe person, someone that can provide us that environment that we can be ourselves, we can be vulnerable, and then together we can find ourselves. So don't let that anxiousness prevent yourself from personal growth, from getting better, from helping yourself to heal those emotional wounds. Yeah.
So, do you think it is possible for a client to not feel safe with a therapist?
So all of us has some vulnerabilities and some deeper needs, and I think it's all about connection. So sometimes maybe you can go to a therapist, maybe they are very good therapists, but you cannot feel that safe connection, and that's fine. You can just ask that therapist to refer you to someone else. You need to feel safe. Maybe that person reminds you of an event, maybe that person reminds you of someone else that triggers you, so you don't feel safe, and that's fine. That's completely fine and understandable. And that person is there to help you, either as a therapist or as someone that can refer you to a good therapist that you are matched with.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, so it's not like if you're feeling unsafe with a therapist, something's wrong with you. You can, it may be that you're feeling triggered by something, but there's definitely other therapists there, and it's safe to talk to to ask for another therapist.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I've definitely had that happen to me, where I had clients ask to see a different therapist, and in my own therapy journey, like you're saying, I had therapists that I stopped seeing because I want to see someone else. Yeah, it's totally fine. But for all those listening out there, if you want a therapist that'll make you feel safe, this one right here, definitely many others as well, but I can definitely assure you that I felt very safe with Zohreh, and I've witnessed the safety she creates. Yeah.
Thanks, Justin.
Thank you. So, Zohreh, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate having this time to chat and to talk about you, and it's always a pleasure every time we get to connect. Looking forward to seeing more and more of you. And if anyone is interested in working with our wonderful therapist Zohreh, she has availability on our website. Check it out, bbtherapy.ca. And if you want to see more about Zohreh in particular, check out her page on our website, bbtherapy.ca/Zohreh, Zohreh. All right, so thank you.
Thank you so much,
See you
Justin.
soon.
Very nice talking to you.
Nice to talk to you too. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.